Hi guys. Hey, so it is Independent Bookstore Week all across the nation. So I am celebrating by going to several bookstores this week. It is Monday and I'm at my first bookstore. I'm not sure if I can record in there, so I might just do it out here in my car. Anyway, so I'm starting at Dreamhaven Comics, which is one of my favorites. They have fabulous stuff, and they have this really cool mural. Let me see if I can flip you. So here's the mural on the side of the building. Isn't that fun? Lots of classic comic book characters. Okay, I'm going in. Okay, this is future me here to say I did do some filming inside of Dreamhaven. You'll see. But there's no talking. It was too quiet in there, so I don't want to talk. So there's just snippets of me showing you books on the shelf, some books that I want to remember later to read, and just some gorgeous books that are really cool. And then the decor of the place is really fun too, because it's a genre bookstore, so it's like sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and comics and graphic novels. And so there's things like monsters on top of the bookcases, masks on the wall, there's a wizard. Just, it's really fun. You'll see. And here is my next destination, the new home of Uncle Hugo's and Uncle Edgar's. One of the best sci-fi and mystery bookstores in the nation. And it burned down during the riots after George Floyd's killing. I am here in Minneapolis. And it was very sad when it burned down. I don't think people knew what they were doing because it was such a big part of the community. So I'm really happy to see it back, and it's actually much closer to my house now. It's like less than a mile away. So this is the first time I've gone in since they opened in their new location. So I'm eager to see what it looks like. Let's go inside. Okay, so I'm done. I have hit my third bookstore, Moon Palace, and I don't having a picture of it from the front. It doesn't really look like much from the front anyway, because it was like covered in plywood during the pandemic and the riots and all that garbage. So it's not much to see from the front. And all of the bookstores that I went into today were just super quiet and not many people. You know, it's a Monday afternoon, so I guess people are at work, not like me. So yeah, I didn't really feel good recording in that environment. I would have stood out like a sore thumb, so I don't want to stand out. So I'm just gonna go home and show all my loot to my family, and then do a video, continue this video, and show you guys all the fun stuff that I got. And then I think I'm just gonna keep going with the book thing and do videos as I finish each one of these books and review them for you. I think that would be really fun. I used to write book reviews for a lot of different publications, and I kind of miss it, but I don't want to go back to it either. I would rather just do a video and talk to you guys about the books. I think that would be more fun anyway. So I'm going to plan on doing that. So let's get home so I can show you what I got. Yeah! Hi guys. Okay, so I'm back home. I took a shower even, changed my clothes so I can look nice for the camera. So here is my little passport. Isn't it cute? And the way this works, I don't know if they do this the same in every city that's participating, but I imagine it's a little bit different because we have a local artist that does all these drawings of the different bookstores. So each page has a wonderful illustration of the bookstore, and then you can get your passport stamped when you go to that bookstore. Whoops, that end. Okay, I just wanted to show you the passport close up because it's fun. It's fun art. So let's show you the ones that I went to. So there's Dreamhaven. And then let's see. I'm trying to do them in order that I went in. So Uncle Edgar's and Uncle Hugo's was next. See, I got my little stamp there. Then I went to Moon Palace. And then actually on Tuesday, which I haven't mentioned yet, but I will, I went to Cream and Amber, which is a combination bookstore cafe. That was super fun. And then I also, let's see, where is it? Okay. I also bought online from Once Upon a Crime, which is a fabulous little mystery bookstore that's been there forever. And I have a Libro FM account where I get audiobooks, but when I buy them, it supports this bookstore instead of like Amazon or whatever else, some big corporation. I'd rather support my independent bookstore. So that's one way you can do that. If you don't know about Libro FM, I will leave a link in the description box, and you should definitely check them out if you like audiobooks and you want to support your independent bookstore. Okay, so the deal with this is all the ones that you get stamps on, you can use as a coupon after May 1st. So it's May 1st through September 30th. So I could go back to Moon Palace and use that. It's only one time, and I didn't really do it for the coupons anyway, so that doesn't matter. But it's a fun little stamp. And then if you went to 12 bookstores and got stamps, then that activates all the coupons for all the bookstores. So you could have done that. I didn't do that. If you went to all 23 participating bookstores in the Twin Cities area, then you got into a drawing, and that was for like a pile of books. And that's it. There's some sponsors in the back here, and ta-da! That's a fun little passport. Just wanted to share that with you. I'm doing it to support my local independent bookstores, and give them some love and get me some wonderful books to read. So I went to 3 bookstores today. I think that's pretty good. I know I'm going to at least one tomorrow, probably 2, and we'll just see how many more books I get. I'm trying not to get a ton. I just cleaned out this bookcase and went through it and took out all the guilt books, which was about 2/3 of the bookcase. I hadn't been through it in a while. But it was all those books that are staring at me, or I feel like they're staring at me, making me feel guilty for not reading them. So I just got rid of those. And I put the books that I wanted, that make me happy, that make me feel good, that I want to read right now. I put those on the bookshelf. And it's a mix of everything. Some of it is fiction. Some of it is art books. There's a couple journals that I'm keeping in the bookcase now, so they don't have to live on the floor. And I've been drawing more because I have my notebook right there. So that's good. Anyway, yes, so I have a happy bookcase now that I wanted to show in the video. And let's just go through my loot, what I got. Okay, so let's start with this one, a Kelly Link book of short stories, her newest one, called White Cat, Black Dog. If you're familiar with Kelly Link, you already know she's kind of odd. Her stories can be a little out there, and that's what I like about them. So that should be fun. A book of short stories. The next one is called Deep into the Dark by P.J. Tracy. This is a local author, and it's somebody who, I haven't read this one yet, but it's an author that my mom and I used to read, and we'd even share the books sometimes if we could be patient and wait for the other person to finish the book and send it to that person, whoever hadn't read it yet. Then we would discuss it after we read it, and it was just really fun, and I miss that. I miss talking books with my mom. So anyhow, the P.J. Tracy is actually a name that was created by a mother and daughter writing team, and now the mother has passed away, and so it's just the daughter, kind of like me and my mom. And she's started this new series. They did have this long running series that they wrote together, and so this is a new series that she's doing on her own, and it's been out a while, but I just didn't really feel like reading that author since I missed talking to my mom about it. So we'll see. I'm excited to try it and see if I like her new series. Okay. Next, we have The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Meadowstone by Jacqueline Moriarty. It's a scholastic chapter book, I would call it. It's a kid's book. It's not young adult, it's just kids, like 9 to 12 ish, those kind of readers. And I love that age. I mean, I love those books. I love all children's book levels. But this one just really caught my eye, the cover. I mean, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but it's a really fun cover, right? Yeah, so it caught my eye. So this is about a 10-year-old girl who is suddenly orphaned because supposedly her parents have been killed by pirates. And now she must travel the kingdoms perfectly alone, delivering gifts to an unexpected assortment of aunts, a farmer aunt who owns an orange orchard, a veterinarian aunt who specializes in dragon care, a pair of aunts who captain a cruise ship, and a former rock star aunt who is now the reigning monarch of a small kingdom. As she travels from aunt to aunt, Bronte suspects there might be more to this journey than the simple delivery of treasure, and even more risk than she could have ever imagined. So it sounds like a fun adventure, my kind of kids book. We'll see. Okay, next, I'm very excited about this. It's Paperbacks from Hell, the only nonfiction book that I got this round of shopping. It's by Grady Hendrix, who writes horror fiction and in a very contemporary way, I'd say. He's the one who wrote Horror Store, which was like a horror story about being trapped in an IKEA-like store. It was very funny. I read that one. I've read most of his books. My Best Friend's Exorcism is one of the scariest books that I've ever read. And it was just super fun to read. And so this is about the 70s and 80s era of horror fiction. And this has like full color photographs of covers from these books, and some of them are quite terrifying and some of them are just gross. Yeah, so it's quite a mix. And I got this for a couple reasons. One is that I love Grady in pretty much everything he does, so I wanted to read this. And then also, I'm just kind of curious, if I can learn something about my childhood that I don't really understand yet. Because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and who knows, maybe this can give me some insight into what was going on in the culture when I was growing up, at least as relates to horror. Which I was very into when I was a kid. I was reading Stephen King at an early age, and even before that I was into spooky stuff like the Bermuda Triangle, and yeah, I was primed for scary stuff. Okay. So next we have a graphic novel, which is called Survival Street. And you'll notice that it looks like a Muppet on one half and a Muppet in an apocalypse on the other half. And that's about what it is. The story, let me just read you the back because it's a really good synopsis. After an unbridled wave of corporations take over America, the country is left completely deregulated and effectively carved into feudal states where billionaires and their businesses make their own laws. And of course, when they do that, they get rid of public television. So these people who've been working in public television specifically for kids, like Sesame Street, which I think nobody ever says the word Sesame Street, but we know that's what it is. Um, the people who work for Sesame Street are like the only ones left who are fighting to, help the children out there get edutainment. So it looks, at first it sounds like it could just be one joke and not get very farther than that, but from the description it sounds like a full-fledged story and actually pretty interesting. My kind of apocalypse. So we'll see. You probably notice a lot of the books I read are apocalyptic. That's something I really like. I can get a lot out of those stories. Okay. Next, we just have a little comic. It was only $1. It was a Walt Kelly collection of Adventures. Santa Claus Adventures in comic form. And I used to collect books that were geared towards Christmas, anything about Christmas. And I have a whole big tub of them now. And I did this because I was doing a podcast reviewing Christmas books, like any kind of Christmas book. And I kind of miss doing that. So I'm thinking if I can get this ball rolling of reviewing books as I read them, that I can, pull in some of those Christmas books, maybe ones I've already read and maybe ones I haven't read yet, because there's quite a pile that I haven't read yet that are in that bin. So, so maybe you'll hear about this one later on down the road. We'll see. Okay, the next one is a graphic novel, Victor Laval's Destroyer. I've read Victor Laval before and really liked him. I can't remember what I read, but I just remember liking him a lot. And this story is kind of a modern Frankenstein. And modern, not in the sense that he's just invented in modern day, but in the sense that he's been around for hundreds of years and is sick and tired of humanity, and now his goal is to just basically get rid of humanity and have the earth be safe from the scourge of humanity if he can just get rid of all of us. So yeah, that sounds like a good basis for a story. Okay, and this is actually the one craft book that I got. You could call this a craft book. Crap Hound is a not very regular, but comes out every now and then. This guy collects clip art from, all eras, everything that he can find, and separates them by themes. So this one is about books and bees, and so all of the clip art is books and bees. So I can use any of this in here, like for my zines, to decorate my journals. So what I'll do is I'll photocopy a page that has stuff I'm interested in on it, and then just cut up that page, and I still have this book to keep as a reference, and I can reuse it anytime I want to. They're a little spendy, like that was $20 by itself, but I think it's a really valuable resource. It's not something you can find just anywhere. I have a few of them, and I use them every now and then. So next we have Catfishing on Catnet. I had not heard of this before, but as I was in the bookstore looking around and seeing this, I saw that it won some awards just recently for young adult literature. And it sounds like a fun contemporary sort of science fiction or near future, but it's about the internet and privacy concerns and safety and like how do you know who you're really talking to online is the question they have on the back. And then there's also an interesting character in this book is Cheshire Cat, a sentient AI who loves cat pictures. So that sounds like a fun character, right? Next is The School for Good Mothers. Now, maybe you've heard of this. I hadn't before, but I've been kind of out of the loop. This is one of Barack Obama's best books of 2022. I wasn't aware he put out a list, but that's pretty cool. It's basically about trying to be a perfect mother and how impossible it is. And in this story, the government comes after a mom who made a mistake, and now they're trying to determine whether she's fit to be a mother anymore, if she can be rehabilitated or not. It sounds kind of like The Handmaid's Tale a little bit, except after the baby is born, how we're going to be monitoring women then as mothers. And yeah, scary stuff. And I figured I could relate to since I'm a mom. Okay, the next one is called Someday by David Levithan. I think it's how you say it. Anyway, I read the one before this. This is a sequel to Every Day. And I remember reading it probably like 15 years ago. It was a while back, and I still remember it. It made an impression. It was about, it is a young adult novel, and it was about a character who woke up in a different body every day. And not just a body, but like suddenly inhabited someone's body, you know, someone who already has a life, and he wakes up inside their body and has to like figure out on the fly what he's supposed to be doing in this person's life. And being in a different body every day, he could be in a girl's body, in a boy's body, in a teenager, in an adult. Just, he had no idea, you know, who it was going to be next. And so he sort of has, of course, an identity crisis of his own because he doesn't really have his own identity that he knows of. And he feels very alone in this. And so in this one, the sequel, he finds out that he's not the only one that has this happen, that there are others who suffer the same affliction. I don't know what you want to call it. So yeah, that sounded interesting enough for me to pick it up, especially since I remember the first one so well. Okay. This next one is one that was actually published by Dreamhaven Books, the first bookstore that I went to today. It's called Shelf Life, and it's an anthology of stories, and they're science fiction, fantasy, and horror stories that all have to do with bookstores, since it's like the 25th anniversary, I think, for Dreamhaven Bookstore. So this was their way of celebrating publishing a book. How cool is that? So yeah, there's an introduction by Neil Gaiman, and then just a variety of writers' short stories. So that sounded like fun. Anything about a bookstore I'm into. Since I worked in bookstores for many years, I figured it would be fun to read that. Okay, next we have a, well, I was going to say graphic novel. It says a comic, so I don't know if this came out in another form first. I'm not sure. I'll have to read a little more about it. But it's called Fine, and it's a comic about gender, and specifically about the transgender community, which my son is transgender, and so I'm an ally. Um, and yeah, this sounded like a good thing for both of us to read that we would both be interested in. He's going to read it too. But I think the first thing he's going to borrow from me is that Sesame Street graphic novel, the Survival Street, I should say. Yeah, he was really interested in that. Okay, and then last but not least is actually um, a sequel to a book that I bought last August when I was in Port Angeles visiting my sisters. We went to a bookstore there, and I think this person is a local in Seattle, TJ Klune. I seem to remember he was on like the locals shelf. Anyway, the first book was the House on the Cerulean Sea. And I loved that book so much. It was just what I needed. It was just wonderful. I think I read it in January, and it was like the first book I finished this year. And boy, it really lifted my spirits. It's sort of a fantasy, I guess you could say, yeah, because the child characters in it all have magical abilities. But the core of the story is this character who's very broken, and he finds some other broken people, and they sort of become a family together. And there's some bumps along the way, and it doesn't look like it's going to work at first, but yeah, it has a happy ending, and it just really gave me hope for humanity. You know what I mean when you finish a book like that, where you just feel like, oh, there's hope for people yet, um, because some days it can feel like the opposite if you're watching the news or scrolling through social media sometimes. Yeah, so that one really warmed my heart, and so I got the sequel, and I know there's one more after this that is it's coming out officially tomorrow, April 25th, I think. So I could go get it tomorrow, but I think I'll wait until it's in paperback so it's a little cheaper. But we'll see. We'll see if I can wait that long. I don't know. When I finish this one, um, I'm going to want to get the next one. So I'll have to distract myself with one of these other 13 books that I got. So, yeah, that is it. I also got a couple little toy items. I got this blind box mushroom toy, which I love mushrooms. I've been drawing them lately. And so I had to get this, and I love it. It's so adorable. It's just a little mushroom. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, so mushroom toy, and then the other thing was I got a set of Totoro pencils, because everyone needs a set of my friend Totoro pencils, right? They're cute, and they're even sharpened already. So Yeah, I'm ready to do some writing and drawing and just feeling happy with a Totoro pencil in my hand. But wait, I'm not done. I thought I was done. But then that was Monday. And then came Tuesday. And Tuesday, I met a friend over in Hopkins at this relatively new bookstore called Cream and Amber. And it's not just a bookstore, oh no. It's this cute little house that's been made into a bookstore, cafe, brew pub type thing. And it's really sweet and comfy and friendly. And I bought 2 books there. So let me tell you what I got. I got Hollow Kingdom, which seems to be a comic novel, and comic as in funny, not as in little pictures. So it's another apocalypse story. See, I love these. There's so many different ways you can tell an apocalypse story. So in this one, a crow named ST is telling the story, and he's worried because all the humans around him seem to be slowly dying off in rather horrific ways. And I won't get into the details of that. I've just started reading it, so I couldn't tell you a lot anyway. But he is concerned about the animals and making sure that the domesticated animals are all taken care of since there's no humans anymore. So that sounded really sweet to me. And I have started reading it. I'm only on like page 15, but it is very funny. I like it a lot. So that's that one. And then we have I Remember You, a ghost story by Ursa Sigurdardottir. And I didn't just randomly make sounds there. I've been practicing my Icelandic because see there's a pronunciation guide on the back, so that was helpful. So yeah, this is a ghost story about some friends that are renovating an old house in the middle of nowhere, and things happen. They're not alone. So that sounded fun. I love ghost stories. So I'm a sucker for a ghost story, and also this said winner of the Icelandic Crime Fiction Award, which I figure must be kind of, I don't know if it's prestigious, but I bet there's a lot of competition for it because it seems like the Scandinavians write a lot of crime fiction and they do it well. So the other cool thing about this book is that it was only $4 because they sell new and used books. And it's not like they're off in a room by themselves. No, they're shelved along with the new books. And you can tell where they are because there's little bookmarks sticking up out of them saying used. There's like a yellow bookmark that sticks up out of a book if it is used. So it's kind of nice because then you can scan the shelves, and if you're looking for a bargain, um, just find one that way, which is kind of what I did. So I got those 2. I also got this delicious vegan gluten free chocolate chip cookie that was just out of this world. It was so delicious. And I had fun with my friends. So that was a great trip to that bookstore. And, I thought I was done, but then I saw a book today, which, as I'm recording this, it's Sunday, so it's like the end of the independent bookstore week for the year. And I was watching another video by someone who had done stuff this week as well, and they were holding a book called In Praise of Good Bookstores. And I think he read some stuff out of it in his video, and it just sounded wonderful. And so I looked it up, and the description sounded even better. It's written by a lifelong bookseller, and it is nonfiction. So I like to listen to most of the nonfiction that I get, except that Paperbacks from Hell one, obviously, because I want to see the covers of the books. But this one was on sale for like $3.50, I think. And so I bought it on my Libro FM account, which is an audiobook monthly subscription. And I actually didn't use my monthly credit because it was so cheap, so I just bought it, and still have my credit for this month. But if you don't know about Libro FM, that's another way to support independent bookstores, because you can go to this website and then see if the independent bookstore that is in your area that you want to support is on their list, and then you can have your money from your subscription go to them. And actually, it doesn't have to be in your area either. Say you really like a bookstore that you go to when you're on vacation in another state, then you could support them. You know, it's up to you. You can pick what bookstore you want to support. So I would recommend that. It's really cool. And I think that is it. So I think that is 16 books total, counting the audiobook that is in the ether, because I don't have a thing here to show you for that. I do have the book that I'm probably going to talk to you about next week, because I'm going to try and do this weekly and just talk about whatever I'm reading, no matter if it's one of these books or not. But I do read a lot, so I think I'll always have something to talk about. And I think it'll be fun to talk to you guys about what I'm reading, because I don't have a lot of people in my life right now who I can talk to about books, and I really miss that with like my mom and just some other people I miss. So yeah, so we're going to see how that goes. I will try to do it weekly, and this is the book that I'm reading right now for my book club at our library that reads mystery books monthly. And I try to make it every month. I don't always make it, but this one really got my attention quickly. As soon as I started reading it, I was hooked. And it's been quite, what's the word? It really captured my attention immediately, and it's not compulsive. What's the word? Where you have to keep turning the pages. It just won't let you go. I don't know what the word is, but I'm sure someone will tell me. Okay, so thank you for hanging out with me this far. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. And I hope I will see you next week in my new series, The Reading Life. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.